Falcon 9 is in startup.
And there we have good confirmation that Falcon 9 has taken control of the launch count and its tanks are being pressurized for liftoff today.
LD, go for launch.
And with our final confirmation that we are go for launch, let's sit back and watch Falcon 9 take the Astranis from one-to-many mission into orbit 35 seconds from now.
T-minus 30 seconds. Seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mission and liftoff. Go Falcon, go Astranis.
Vehicle is pitching dead range.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
And 30 seconds into the flight, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40, and we heard some good initial callouts there for power and telemetry nominal and the vehicle pitching onto the proper course for launch today. After clearing the tower,
power and telemetry nominal.
After clearing the tower today, we tilted or gimbaled the engines to initiate a roll maneuver on Falcon 9. This enables the vehicle's antennas to stay in the best position for communicating with the ground while also slightly pitching the rocket over onto the correct flight path.
Vehicle is supersonic.
And we hear confirmation there that we are supersonic, approaching max Q, or the moment of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Max Q.
And there you hear a good call out that we have passed max Q. From this point on, while Falcon 9 is still accelerating to an orbital speed of approximately 17,500 miles per hour, aerodynamic forces on the vehicle will continue to decrease as we approach
chill is underway.
The vacuum of space. And as you can hear there, we have started to thermally condition the second stage's single MVAC engine for its ignition coming up just under 1 minute from now. Prior to around that same ignition time, we will have a series of events in rapid succession, the first of which will be main engine cutoff, or MECO, of the first stage booster. That will be followed shortly by stage separation, followed by second engine start 1, or SES1, on the second stage, and followed after that we will have separation of Falcon's payload fairings. Let's watch for those events coming up back to back here in just about 15 seconds.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
And there we had a good MECO stage separation and ignition of the MVAC second stage engine. You can see now on the bottom left-hand portion of your screen the velocity and altitude data for stage 1 booster, and on the bottom right-hand side of your screen you can see the speed and altitude for stage 2, taking the 4 Astranis satellites to orbit today.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there you heard and saw a good separation of our payload fairing. Both of the payload fairing halves on today's mission are flight proven, with one half flying for its 22nd time and the other for its 12th. Both of these fairings will now parachute down to the Atlantic Ocean, where we will be attempting to retrieve them on our recovery vessel, Doug. And you can see there that stage 2 currently has a velocity of about 10,600 kilometers per hour. We're looking for a velocity of about 27,000 kilometers per hour at engine cutoff today. Now, 4 minutes, 30 seconds into today's mission, our next major milestone in flight will be stage 1's entry burn, which will take place just past the 6-minute mark into flight. For this entry burn, we relight 3 of the M1D engines on the first stage booster, which is similar to pumping the brakes to slow the vehicle down as it passes back into Earth's atmosphere. The entry burn helps us reduce the heat generated from the friction of the atmosphere and reduces aerodynamic forces acting on Falcon. And reducing those aerodynamic forces are very important, as it helps us maintain controlled flight, prepare the booster for landing, and also helps us with refurbishment and reuse. Now, during that entry burn today, Falcon 9 will be decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but it will still be traveling really fast, which causes the booster to fly through the Merlin engine's exhaust gases, or plume. This deposits a layer of soot on the outside of the vehicle, and that soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses. Now, with each flight, that soot builds up a little bit more on the outside of the vehicle, and that's what gives the Falcon 9 first stages their distinctive reuse look. And you can see in the bottom left-hand portion of your screen the speed for stage 1 increasing as its altitude decreases. You'll see that speed rapidly drop when we get to our entry burn and relight those 3 Merlin 1D engines. Now, reusability is also key to lowering the cost of access for spaceflight, which enables more investment in critical scientific research. The Falcon 9 first stage supporting today's mission will be performing this entry burn for its 7th time.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Stage 1 FTS has safed.
And there we can see that entry burn underway, as well as the call out that the flight termination system on the first stage has safed. Gorgeous views from that onboard camera from the first stage there. And you can see that speed dropping rapidly now on the first stage as well.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there is confirmation of entry burn shutdown. Coming up in just under a minute, we are expecting second engine stage cutoff, or SECO 1, as the second stage enters its preliminary parking orbit. This will come before our landing of the first stage booster on the mission today.
Second stage in terminal guidance.
Good call out that stage 2 is nearing its initial orbit. You can see the stage 2 velocity increasing
Stage
as
1 transonic.
the stage 1 velocity.
Stage 2 FTS has safed.
As stage 1 continues to decelerate, and we had a good call there that the vehicles are following good trajectories and that the flight termination system on stage 2 has safed itself as stage 2 prepares to enter orbit.
MVAC shutdown.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And with stage 2 shutting down its MVAC engine, stage 1 is performing its landing burn, heading toward a shortfall of gravitas.
Nominal orbit insertion. Landing leg deployed. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there is our first stage booster standing tall on a shortfall of gravitas, completing its 7th launch and recovery. This was overall SpaceX's 300 89th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings of our Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy fleet. Now, with that, we are going to take a short break as the second stage continues in its first coast period.